Some said, let the private market system solve the problem. I don't think that Herbert Hoover approach is going to solve it. So I crossed party lines to work and support President Bush in his effort. Whether you agreed with him or disagreed with him, I think he felt it was critical for the sake of our country. And by the way, my father was old enough to remember what the First Depression was like. He felt it was important to take action to stabilize the markets. Does everything we've done work perfectly? Absolutely not. But let me tell you, one, we didn't have a second Great Depression, and we could have. Number two, last year, the S&P 500 stock market dropped 38% in value. Since March 9th, it's gone up over 40% in value. So while I respect some of your viewpoint, the government should have stayed completely out of the situation and let the private market solve itself. I think it took the government to step in to try to prevent us from going into
Rosemary Busk of Granbury is the next questioner, and after Rosemary, we'll hear from Larry Robertson of Cleburne. Rosemary.
Congressman Edwards, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Rosemary.
The question I have for you, there's three.
Three? I better get my notes out.
It's like the... Never mind. Will you support interstate insurance availability? Term limits? And will you reject the government option health care program?
I'm sorry I may have missed one of your questions. Interstate insurance. The other was the government.
Term limits.
Okay. Let me start with term limits. I do not support term limits because I think the Constitution has in place term limits. Every 2 years, you can vote in or vote out members of the House. Every 6 years, you can vote in or out members of the United States Senate. And I will just give you an example of a state that has term limits and initiative and referendum, California. I don't see too many Texans moving from Texas to California. California is an absolute disaster, so I don't think term limits are necessarily a panacea for bringing about better government.
More leadership.
In terms of the government option, I have not made a decision on that. I have made a decision that I would not vote for a government option that is subsidized by you and us and the taxpayers of this country, because if it were subsidized, then I think the end result would be to drive out of business ultimately the private health insurance system. And my goal is to make the health insurance private sector more competitive, not to drive them out of the healthcare business altogether, which I think would be harmful to the healthcare system as you and I know it and like it today. And one option to a government option might be private co-ops, allowing private co-ops. If you don't like a private co-op, you don't have to participate in it. But I think a lot's lost in this debate. The goal is to create an insurance exchange. Right now, if your individual family, particularly if you've had anybody with health care problems in your family, if your family or your small business and you try to go negotiate for a reasonably priced insurance policy with a major insurance company, it's not a level playing field. Huge insurance company and you're talking about one family. But through this insurance exchange where maybe 20 or 30 insurance companies come into that insurance exchange, they're competing not just for your family's health insurance policy, they're competing for millions of other people's policies just like you. And that is one way we can make the private sector system work better? And your first question is, would I support interstate competition with health insurance companies? Yes, I think that would make sense.
Larry Robertson's asking the next question. We're fishing out the person who will ask after Larry. That would be Jack Hardwick from Keene. Jack, you go after Larry. Mr. Robertson, you have the microphone.
Congressman, I appreciate you having this face-to-face meeting with us. The phone system didn't work. I said my phone that fell through the cracks apparently. The question I have is the Secretary of Health and Human Services is going to have a great amount of authority over what happens in this proposed health care plan. And I know it's been stated that illegal immigrants will not be covered under this policy. But like so many other government programs, once it's instilled, one person has this much authority. What's to keep them from saying, we change our mind if we don't have illegal immigrants? Especially with Nancy Pelosi's penchant for making everybody getting across the board amnesty and putting 12 to 20 million more people in the healthcare system that have not paid any taxes at all.
Larry, I think the bill has to be very, very clear. And I'm going to watch it. I've looked at the language in the bill. The language today is clear. I want to be sure it's not muddied up in any way. And the language is very clear. It says that illegal aliens will not qualify for the programs under the House bill. I think the real challenge, I think the concern you raise is an important one. I think the unlimited flow of illegal immigrants into our country has put extra burdens on cost for our healthcare system and our education system. So I think it's critical that we do a better job of policing our borders, protecting our borders, putting in place a data system employers can contact to see if a job applicant is here legally or not. And then once we have that system in place, Larry, we need to enforce the laws against employers, which we haven't done. Because if these illegal immigrants they wouldn't be coming into the country. And I have been on the committee that is doubling in some parts, tripling in other parts, the number of Border Patrol agents to try to reduce the huge flow of illegal immigrants to the United States. The numbers, and it's partly because of what Congress has done, partly because of the economy of our country today. This past year, there was a significant drop, the largest in a long time, a significant drop in the number of people coming across our border illegally. But even aside from the health care issue, we've got to, whether a health care bill passes or not, we have to deal with that issue far better than has been done in the past. Thank you.
Jack Hardwick from Keene is the next person to ask a question. The person asking after Mr. Hardwick will be Dan Hunt of Cleburne, Texas. Mr. Hunt, if you'll please stand up and get to an aisle. Mr. Hardwick.
Congressman, I have attended, I believe, every public meeting, that town hall meeting that you've had since you've been elected for this, since you've been in this district, including your opening of your office. And I've always billed myself as a Republican for Chet, for you, Congressman. Edwards, Chet Edwards. I'm sorry.
How quickly they forget.
Yeah, I'm an old Chet Edwards fan, and sometimes difficult to make the change. But I do want to say that we appreciate, as a veteran from World War II, the South Pacific, Thank you, all in all, and also the Korean conflict. But